Hello, welcome to Top of the Stack MTG. This is part 2 of Deck Tech Night. We have got an Exert deck, which is a little more complex, but still very fun, but a lot more expensive. This deck is going to run you about $50. And then that's not getting into lands or sideboard. So this is a more expensive deck, but it's a more complex deck. If you're that type of a player, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more. We're going to start off, once again, I'm very strict about sticking to themes, so all of these creatures have Exert, and then we've got a couple other cards that really help Exert. We're going to start off with Glorybound Initiate. You may exert Glorybound Initiate when it attacks. When you do, it gets +1/+3 and gains lifelink until the end of the turn, and it's a 2-drop. So it's great. Now remember, when you exert a creature, it doesn't untap again until your next turn. It has to sit a whole turn tapped. But we have fixes for that later on. Ahn-Crop Crasher. 3-drop. It has haste. You may exert Ahn-Crop Crasher as it attacks. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. Excellent. Combat Celebrant. This is where a lot of the crazy sort of puzzle solving comes in with this card. If Combat Celebrant hasn't been exerted this turn, you may exert it as it attacks. When you do, untap all other creatures you control, and after this phase, there is an additional combat phase. So literally, you can swing in with everybody, and then untap everybody except this guy, and swing in again. Now, if you have 3 of these in play, you can exert one, and then and it will stay tapped, and then exert the second one, and it will stay tapped, and then exert the third one, and get like 4 attack phases if you really, really wanted to. So it does kind of stack, but you got to be aware that it doesn't untap when everything else untaps. It doesn't turn into an infinite attack phase combo. Tah-Crop Elite. Flyer. This is a 4-drop. It's a 2/2. You may exert Tah-Crop Elite as it attacks. When you do, creatures you control get +1/+1 until the end of the turn. Excellent. All your guys get it. And then, of course, Glorybringer, the best exerter of them all. Flying and haste, 5-drop, it's a 4/4. You may exert Glorybringer as it attacks. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target non-dragon creature and opponent controls. So you can exert it as removal, which is just great. It's the most expensive card, I believe, and it's worth it. It's an excellent card. You'll use it in other things. Trueheart Twins. You may exert Trueheart Twins as it attacks. When you exert a creature, creatures you control get +1/+0 until the end of the turn. This is neat. If you can exert like 4 things, everybody's going to get +4/+0. So it's a great one. Now, on to the enchantments. We have 3 enchantments, and that finishes the deck. The first enchantment, of course, is Always Watching. Non-token creatures you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. The fact that they have vigilance means you do not tap them to exert them, which means when they don't untap on your next turn, they're already untapped. So you're skipping the payment for those amazing powers. It's great. Always Watching makes this whole deck. Excellent, excellent card. Now I also put in Trial of Solidarity. When Trial of Solidarity enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +2/+1 and gain vigilance until the end of the turn. So Trial of Solidarity is a weak version of Always Watching, but I wanted to have more than just 4 cards in the deck that have the Always Watching power. So Trial of Solidarity looked great. And then also I put in Cartouche of Zeal. It's not perfect for the theme. Enchant a creature you control. When Cartouche of Zeal enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Enchant a creature gets +1/+1 and gains haste. It's an amazing card, especially for a 1-drop. It's great. It doesn't really fit the theme. except that when you play a cartouche, the Trial of Solidarity goes back up into your hand so that you can play that again. So it gets you back the ability to gain vigilance. So that's why it's in the deck. Okay, so that is the basic deck. It's complicated. You have to really practice to get good at it in order to increase your win percentage. It's very interesting and very fun if you like that kind of stuff. It's a $50 deck. The lands are the same for this because it is red-white. So once again, it's about $20 if you want to throw in the Inspiring Vantages. Or you can just do Plains and Mountains, or Evolving Wilds and Plains and Mountains, or Inspiring Vantage, Evolving Wilds, and Plains and Mountains if you want. And then the sideboard, once again, is exactly the same. I did the same thing as the previous deck. As part 1, we've got Blazing Volley, we've got Forsake the Worldly, we've got Cast Out, and we've got Gideon's Intervention. Now, the one weird thing about this deck is always watching is going to rotate. This deck will kind of fall apart in, what is it now, July, August, September, in like 3 months. So that's something you need to keep in mind before you run out to purchase this thing. What else do we want to talk about? I think that's about it for part 2. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these 2 deck techs. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're already playing something like this and what your build is. Vehicles have been around for a while, so you may already have a vehicle deck. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the little bell if you want to get notifications. And have a great night.